He had been speaking for 4 minutes straight. He had an answer for everything. He spoke with absolute certainty. He interrupted the experts in the room. He had done his research, he said. A few YouTube videos and one article he'd skimmed on his phone. And here is the part that will stay with you. He genuinely believed he was the smartest person in that room. He wasn't. What you just witnessed has a name. It has been studied, measured, and replicated in laboratories around the world. And the most unsettling part? Every single one of us is capable of it. This is the Dunning-Kruger Effect. And by the end of this video, you will never look at confidence the same way again. In 1995, a man named MacArthur Wheeler walked into 2 banks in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania in broad daylight and robbed them. He did not wear a mask. He did not disguise himself. He looked directly into the security cameras with what witnesses described as casual, almost relaxed confidence. When the police arrested him that same evening, it did not take long, and showed him the footage. Wheeler was genuinely baffled. He stared at the screen. He shook his head. "But I wore the juice," he said. Wheeler had read somewhere that lemon juice could be used as invisible ink. He had concluded with complete, unshakable confidence that if he rubbed lemon juice on his face before the robbery, it would make him invisible to cameras. He had even tested this theory at home. He took a photograph of himself. It didn't come out. He took this as proof that the lemon juice was working. What Wheeler did not know, what he was completely incapable of knowing, was that he had put too much juice on the lens. The camera had simply malfunctioned. His knowledge was so limited that he could not even see the edges of his own ignorance. When David Dunning, a psychology professor at Cornell University, heard about Wheeler's case, he turned to his graduate student Justin Kruger and asked a question that would change the field of psychology forever. If Wheeler was too incompetent to commit the crime successfully, was he also too incompetent to know that he had failed? That question became the foundation of one of the most cited studies in the history of psychology. In 1999, Dunning and Kruger published their landmark paper. They ran a series of experiments testing people's ability in logical reasoning, grammar, and humor, and then asked each participant to rate their own performance. What they found was not just surprising, it was almost poetic in its cruelty. The people who performed in the bottom quarter, the ones who got the most answers wrong, consistently rated themselves as above average. Some believed they were in the top 10%. Those who knew the least were the most confident. Those who knew the most were often the least certain. Dunning and Kruger identified a specific pattern. They called it a cognitive bias, a systematic error in the way the human brain assesses itself. And when you see the curve they mapped, it becomes impossible to unsee. Stage 1. The peak of Mount Stupid. You learn a little about something, enough to feel like you understand it. Your confidence shoots to its highest point. You feel like an expert. You are not. But your brain has no way of knowing this, because to recognize what you don't know, you need the very knowledge you're missing. Stage 2. The Valley of Despair. As you learn more, you start to realize how vast and complex the subject really is. Your confidence collapses. You feel stupid. You wonder how you ever thought you understood this. This is actually progress, but it feels like failure. Stage 3. The Slope of enlightenment. With continued learning, your confidence slowly rebuilds, but this time it's grounded. You understand not just what you know, but what you don't know. You become careful, precise, genuinely competent. Stage 4. The plateau of sustainability. This is where true experts live. And here is the deeply ironic part. They are often less confident than the person who just learned about the subject last Tuesday. Because real expertise comes with the weight of understanding just how much more there is to know. Dunning himself once said that the trouble with the world is that the stupid are cocksure, while the intelligent are full of doubt. He was paraphrasing the philosopher Bertrand Russell, but the data proved it was not just philosophy, it was neuroscience. Now, before we go any further, I need to ask you something directly. Think of a subject you feel confident about. Maybe it's economics, or nutrition, or relationships, or how the world works, or how people think. Now ask yourself, how did you get that confidence? Was it years of deep study and rigorous practice? Or was it a few articles, some podcasts, a handful of conversations with people who already agreed with you? This is not an attack. This is the Dunning-Kruger Effect doing exactly what it was designed to do, protecting your brain from the paralyzing weight of not knowing. The bias exists because the brain must function. It cannot afford to be uncertain about everything all the time. Confidence, even false confidence, is a survival mechanism. The problem emerges when that confidence stops being internal fuel and becomes external performance, when we stop using it to act and start using it to silence others, to dismiss expertise, to walk into a bank without a mask because we did the research. Here is something that should genuinely unsettle you. David Dunning himself, the man who discovered this effect, has said in interviews that he frequently catches himself falling into it. The psychologist who mapped the territory of ignorance still gets lost in it. Because that is the nature of a cognitive bias. It does not exempt the people who study it. You do not need to look far to find the Dunning-Kruger effect in action. It is everywhere. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Online debates. The most confident voices in any comment section are almost never the most informed. The person who has read 3 Wikipedia articles about economics will argue more forcefully than the economist who has spent 20 years studying the same question. The economist knows what the debate actually costs to get wrong. The commenter does not. The workplace. The colleague who has just attended one leadership seminar and now has opinions about everything. The new hire who confidently tells the 20-year veteran how the industry really works. The manager who has never done the job they're overseeing, but is certain they could do it better than everyone below them. Politics and public discourse. This may be the arena where the Dunning-Kruger effect causes the most damage. Complex systems, healthcare, economics, foreign policy, climate, require decades of specialist training to understand even partially. And yet, the people who speak about them with the greatest certainty are often the ones who have engaged with them the least. The less someone knows about how vaccines work, the more certain they tend to be that they understand the risks. The less someone understands financial systems, the more confident they often are in their economic predictions. This is not stupidity. Let me be very clear about the Dunning-Kruger effect does not describe stupid people. It describes all people, in domains where their knowledge is limited, which for every one of us is most domains. The most dangerous version of this effect is not the person who knows nothing. It is the person who knows just enough to feel like they know everything.
So, what do we do with this? If the bias is invisible by design, if even the people who discovered it still fall into it, is there any way out? The answer is yes, but it requires something most people find genuinely uncomfortable. The first step: seek out what challenges you, not what confirms you. The brain's default setting is to find evidence that it's already right. This is called confirmation bias, and it works in partnership with the Dunning-Kruger Effect, like two wings of the same bird. Deliberately exposing yourself to the strongest version of opposing arguments, not the weakest, not the most extreme, but the most intelligent, is the single most effective antidote. The second step: replace "I know" with "I think" and "I believe." This is not weakness, this is precision. Language shapes thought. When you habitually use absolute language, this is how it works. That's just wrong. It's obvious that. You are closing a door in your own mind. Provisional language keeps it open. The third step: find the people in the room who know more than you and ask them questions. Not to perform humility, not to seem thoughtful, but because the information they carry is genuinely valuable, and your false certainty is the only thing standing between you and it. The most intellectually powerful thing a human being can say is, "I don't know. Can you help me understand?" And the fourth and hardest step: learn to recognize the feeling of Mount Stupid. There is a particular quality to the confidence you feel when you have just learned something new. It has a brightness to it, a lightness. Everything seems clear. That clarity is a signal, not that you understand, but that you are at the beginning. Real understanding has a different texture. It is heavier, more uncertain, full of edges you can feel but cannot yet name. The goal is not to become less confident. It is to make your confidence proportional to your actual knowledge. That kind of confidence, earned, calibrated, honest, is the most powerful form of intelligence a human being can develop. Go back to that man in the meeting room, the one we started with. He is not a villain. He is not uniquely foolish. He is a human being whose brain did exactly what human brains are built to do. It found the fastest available path to certainty and held on to it. It protected him from the discomfort of not knowing. The question is not whether you are capable of being him. You are. We all are. The question is what you choose to do with that knowledge. Socrates, one of the most brilliant minds in human history, famously said that the only true wisdom is knowing that you know nothing. He was not being modest. He was describing the only real alternative to Mount Stupid. The climb down is uncomfortable. The valley of despair is real. But on the other side of it lives something that false confidence can never give you: the ability to actually get things right. If this video made you stop and think, if it showed you a corner of your own mind you hadn't noticed before, then it did exactly what it was meant to do. I want to ask you one thing before you go. Think about one area of your life where your confidence might be running slightly ahead of your knowledge. Just one. You don't have to share it. Just hold it for a moment. That moment of honest self-reflection, that is you stepping off Mount Stupid.
and that is worth more than any certainty you've ever felt. Before you go, drop a comment below and tell me, what topic do you think people around you are most confidently wrong about? It doesn't have to be about someone else. It can be something you used to believe before you knew better. The comment section on this one is going to be fascinating.
And if this video gave you even one new way to think about the world, hit the like button. It genuinely helps more people find this content, and the more people understand how their own minds work, the better the conversations we all get to have. If you're new here, subscribe. We publish videos exactly like this one every week. Psychology, behavior, the hidden mechanics of the human mind, explained clearly, backed by science, and told in a way that actually sticks. Share this video with one person, just one, who you think would benefit from seeing themselves in it. You know who that person is. I'll see you in the next one.